I'm here with Luke, my buddy. Um, Again, the manager of the Lufkin ISD boys basketball squad. How are you doing tonight, Luke?
I'm good, Chris. Thank you for having me on again, man.
Oh yeah, it's a pleasure having you. Your knowledge in sports, especially in basketball, is pretty impressive for somebody so young. So let's get to it, man. I guess the first thing I wanted to ask you is what was your thoughts about the Jacksonville game? Personally, I thought really dominated. That's probably, and I even said this to Coach Bays the other day. I thought that was probably the best I've seen us play maybe in a month and a half. I mean, really tenacious on both sides of the ball. I thought we didn't settle. What was your overall thoughts from that game?
Oh yeah, I was super proud of the guys for the way we handled that game to end off our the season, the run that we've been on. We've kind of, unfortunately, we kind of coasted some of those games there at the end
For
after
sure.
kind of let the Marshall game kind of not we didn't play as well as we probably wanted to. But what people don't see is that the 2 days before the Jacksonville game were some of the best practices we've had,
Right.
in like you said, probably about a month or two.
For
So
sure.
we were locked in, understanding what was coming, which is playoff basketball, where you can't take a day off,
Right.
can't take a game to let go by you, because if you do, then your season's done.
For sure.
So I was very proud of the guys for how we executed on offense and defensively. I thought we played some of the best defense that we played all year.
Absolutely. Before we go on to the the Jacksonville game, you said something about Marshall. I thought was interesting. Big Nasty had said it on the video stream the other night. You have a huge game between Mount Pleasant uh, Friday night, and then I mean just a great crowd, and then you come to Marshall's dead. Uh,
Yeah.
some of it, I talked to Coach Bays a little bit about it, and I know that's not an excuse, but I thought the floor was slippery as well. Uh, just a It's kind of hard to get up for those games, but like you said, it can't be an excuse. But I
Mm-hmm.
thought the way they responded, especially against Jacksonville, you said it, complete domination. Uh, in terms of you know the last few months, I mean the last few games, specifically the last month and a half in district, outside of Mount Pleasant and maybe even Hallsville the second time around, we really haven't been tested all that much. And that's not saying we hadn't played anybody any good. It's just the fact that Lufkin seems to come to win. I mean, they come to play, and like you just said, they coasted a little bit. But was Coach pleased after the Jacksonville game?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Good.
He loved the effort that we had. Like I said, the week leading up to it, it was a night and day difference between the preparation and just how locked in we were. And I think it shows. It shows in the game.
For sure.
And we knew that, especially for our seniors, it's the last game before it's, last game of your season
It's
before it
real.
gets real.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Perfect. Yeah. Uh, yeah, absolutely. And you said something that I totally agree with. You play, if your practices are not intense, then you're not going to be very intense in games. I mean, you know this from watching enough basketball, but I just thought overall the Jacksonville game is, if that's any indication of how we can play against anybody, we're going to be just fine. Uh, but you know, tell me a little bit about Melissa, man. I mean, I know we all know about the stud, Austin
mhm.
Gooseby. We both went up there, of course. Me as a fan and you as a manager last year, we played him in a tournament,
Yep.
and kid's good. I mean, I knew it from the first couple of possessions, especially his growth between last year and this year has really come on strong. Last year, I thought he was just a mid-range guy. Now this year, he can really shoot from outside, put on the floor, go to the rim, uh, and then they got number 23, one of the top freshmen in the state and in the nation. Tell us a little bit about without giving too much
Yeah,
information from a playoff perspective. Melissa, tell us a little about them.
yeah, they definitely improved since last year,
Sure,
and that, like you said, that starts with the Gooseby kid. He is like about what 6'5", 6'6".
he's good.
He can just flat out play.
Yeah,
He is a great player,
he's a walking
and
bucket, as they say.
yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's a great way to put it. And then they really run their offense through 10 and 23. Trey Edwards. He's also just a phenomenal offensive player. So both of them, it's hard to stop both of them.
Right.
But that's kind of mainly who we've seen run their offense through, and they got some other guys, some like Tate Kirk. He's their number 33.
Yeah.
Just kind of some good role players. They got some guys that can shoot
Right.
dude on the outside, and Gooseby's not afraid to, because he draws so much attention from the defense. He's not afraid to give it up and kick it out to one of his guys, and we've seen that often that they've been able to knock down that shot.
Right.
So we've got to be locked in on defense, talking, communicating with one another, and making sure that we can, focus on, because they're hard to stop. They're going to get theirs. We know that. But if we can limit them and limit the amount of open shots or them being able to kick it out to people, we'll have a great shot. And just playing our brand of basketball, playing how we play defense.
Right.
I think we can give them a lot of trouble.
Right. Well, and the next thing I wanted to ask is in terms of what again, this is without giving too much information out there. Is in terms of the Menace and Coach Bays, it's one of the keys just blocking out, making sure we block out, limited to their possessions. Is that big thing that they harped on this week? Is, hey, if they get one bad shot, then we take away possession, we're going to be in good shape. Is that one of the things they've talked about this week?
Yeah, well, that's rebounding has been like a huge, huge part of our season. Coach Jimenez kind of joked about it. This was probably a month or two back, but beginning of the season, we were a great rebounding team, man. It was excellent. And then he had he had said that rebounding numbers had kind of gone down.
Right.
And then I think more recently we've been paying much more attention to that. We got guys that everybody on the floor can box you out that we have and can get a rebound that we need. Absolutely. And so not leaking out too early, making sure we can, especially with this team, because of how, we know that we're going to probably, not saying anything, but we're going to probably be able to get our opportunities on offense.
Right.
And so making sure we got to secure it first. They're a great offensive team. If we give them more than one opportunity to score on one possession, it's not going to be a great night for us.
For
so
sure.
We got to make sure we got to limit the second chance points because of how talented they are in offense.
For sure.
And it gives us more of an opportunity to get out in transition and play our game.
Well, you said something I thought come to mind. We went to a playoff game with a buddy or watch our buddies last year. Unfortunately, they lost. But one thing that I remember, and you hit the nail right on the head, is they didn't rebound very well, and that gave the other defending team a really good shot. And it wasn't that they were shooting, from a high clip, but just they got so many more shots. I think their shots compared to us was like times two. So if you can shoot double the one team, you got a good shot to win, even if you don't make as many because you're getting more shots in, and so for sure. Um, so we talked a little bit last time in the podcast. So you've seen a lot of teams this year, Luke. Really kind of, if you hadn't looked at the bracket, I'll kind of maybe go over some of the teams that you've seen in terms of maybe in the summer and the Gasso tournaments, and some teams that you've seen on film that and not looking ahead, but just kind of give us, I would say, feelers about, hey, this team's good, this team's good. What is your
Yeah,
perspective? I've seen. I'll give one at a Region One. EP Chapin. They're really, really good. They got a 6'11" guy that can. They're just really good. I mean, it's hard when
yeah,
you're playing. I mean, it reminds me a little bit of Crandall last year. It's hard to. There's not a lot of 6'11" guys. I mean, how
no,
many times in the last 4 years have you seen us face a 6'11" guy or 6'10" guy in the any game outside of Crandall? I can't remember
yeah,
anybody.
hmm,
And that's in Region One, of course. You know, Amarillo comes to mind. They're
oh yeah. I was just gonna talk about them.
go ahead. Tell us a little about Amarillo.
Well, yeah, they're right now in some rankings they're top 10, top 15 in 5A.
Yeah,
They've got a they always got a great team,
for sure.
and the now because this was prior to the season beginning, of
Right.
course their team could have there's improvement in guys that they didn't have, but
Absolutely. Absolutely.
luckily we've had the privilege of playing them already.
Right.
We've got some sort of look at them in one of the Gasco tournaments,
Right.
and we were able to we were able to win that game, and we played pretty well. But they're a great team. They're always going to compete.
Absolutely. Uh, in fact, I was thinking about being a coach a couple of years ago, and one thing that I looked up online, and one team that really came to mind, especially offensively, is Amarillo. They're kind of different. A lot of people don't know this. Amarillo doesn't dribble much. Uh,
No,
they hardly ever dribble, and that's why they're so successful. I know that sounds weird. People be like, "Well, in the nowadays, everybody dribbles." They don't hardly dribble. It's pass, pass. If they're dribbling for purpose. It's hard to defend that. They don't turn the ball over very much. That coach over there has been really successful for quite some time. But looking down in again in Region One, Birdville. Have you seen them yet? I know I
no,
have.
sir.
I have. They got a big old forward, I guess, shooting guard. He's about 6'8". Really, really can put it on the floor. Can shoot. At one point, they were ranked in the top five. I believe they dropped down a
Hmm.
little bit. Really good team, and of course, then you look at you've heard them. I'm sure you have Mansfield Timberview. Man, I mean,
Oh yeah.
every year that Mansfield
Hmm.
group with Summit Timberview, they just always seem to rebuild, regroup. Mansfield Timberview athletes after athletes. They know how to play basketball. Um, okay, so we go down to Region Two. Walnut Grove is the winner out of the same region that
Yeah,
or the same district we're playing against, which is against Melissa. Walnut Grove. Tell us a little about Walnut Grove. You've probably
man.
seen pretty
That
good.
oh yeah. That district right there is that's nothing to you know that's a very good district. And when you got a team like Melissa coming in, behind them,
Right.
you can respect how good of a team that is. And so we know that they're going to be, a pretty it's a pretty good opponent right there.
For sure. Well,
And
go ahead.
well, yeah, we had there was a slight chance that could have been the team we were going to play here in the first round.
Yeah.
Um, but so we've kind of been in the they've kind of been in the back of our like
Back burner kind of thing.
yeah.
For sure.
But we've just looking at them from a distance. But I know personally that they love to shoot the ball.
Yeah.
Um,
That's one
and
thing I notice on film. They shoot. They're going to shoot
they
and
shoot
shoot.
it well. They're gonna shoot
Yeah.
it, and
And a high
they're
clip.
gonna hit you with it.
Yeah. For sure. Uh, it's kind of, and this is not a disrespect for either team, Melissa or Walnut Grove, but in terms of they're kind of completely different styles. Walnut
Mm-hmm.
Grove is kind of a team. and I don't mean that as a shot at either team, but they're just different. Uh, but Melissa is really athletic. I mean, you have that kid Austin Gooseby, and then number 23, like you said. But then Walnut Grove is just a team that they do a lot of things right. They don't turn the ball over. They shoot a high clip. They move the ball. They're really
Very well
good.
coached.
Very well coached. Yes, sir. Um, you know, it's really interesting. They come up against one of our teams. I was curious what your thought. They play tomorrow night. Tyler and Texas High for that second seed for Division One. Who do you got?
Ooh.
I got
Mm.
Tyler High. As well as they've been playing the
I
last
think
couple of weeks, they're a matchup problem. So
I think I completely agree with as far as the matchup. I think I'd take Tyler there.
yeah, and it's not a disrespect to Texas High. I just think overall they're just Tyler High. They're kind of a weird team. I mean, Luke, they've been up and down a little bit. They're not the most consistent team. You know, one night they play us about as well as anybody, and then they beat Mount Pleasant, but then
Yeah.
they lose to Nacogdoches. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll just say this from a fan and a coach's perspective. I would even say they're a team you don't want to see in the first round because they're so long and athletic. Uh, but yeah, okay. We look down Frisco Heritage. That's probably one of the biggest teams that come to mind, and especially in Region Two. They're about as good as anybody. I mean, I don't know if you've seen them, if you've gotten a chance. They beat Melissa by like 15 or 20.
Mm-hmm.
They're good. I mean, really, really good. They're athletic. They defend well. They can get out in transition. I forgot the guy's name, but I think he's one of the top players in the state. If I saw his name, I'd remember. But Frisco Heritage is a team that's really, honestly, pretty scary. Um, did you get a chance? I was going to ask you. Did Dallas White was at our at the Invitational here in Lufkin at the what's that thing called? The Hoop Fest. Did you get a chance to see them?
I don't think so, but I know they played.
Converse Judson.
Yes. Oh well, yes. So we did play. We did see them play. We watched. They played right before us.
Right. They got that big 7-footer. Remember
Yep,
him?
that's right.
They're pretty athletic. I mean, it's an inner city Dallas school. You know they're going to play. Another team that comes to mind, especially in Region Two, is Red Oak. Kind of our
Oh
nemesis
yeah.
right now. We don't like them. I don't know if they really know who we are in terms of how much we can't stand them. With what happened a couple of years ago, some of them might have graduated, but they got us earlier this year. They're really good. Tell us a little about them. You got a chance to see them live in person.
Yeah, they're just a tough team.
Yeah,
Like they're always just a tough team to play. Like you don't maybe not like most skilled wise as far as like their players and stuff, but they're just tough. And teams like that are they're hard to beat. And like you said, we got unfortunately they were one of our two losses on the season. But I don't from my point of view, I think that it was more of us losing the game than now they're I give them all the credit. They're a great team, but I think we didn't play up to
for sure.
our expectations for that game.
And then
Um,
you talk about not having Bryson Skinner. I mean, a guy that really you talked about earlier in one of the podcasts. He's a difference maker. He's a game changer.
oh yeah,
He's a stud. A guy that can really do a lot of things. He can put it on the floor, score. He could play defense. He's a tough matchup. But yes, sir. Let's see some of the other schools that come to mind in our region. The Highland Park, man. Tell us,
I was just
man, they're
yeah.
good, and they're David. I can't if I butcher his name. I'm sorry, Pilar, I believe. I went to a coaching clinic a few years back. He's about as good as advertised. He has a lot of wins, probably about as many wins as McManus. He's a winner. He's won a lot
Yeah,
of games. But Highland Park, tell us a little about Highland Park.
Yeah, those are one of those, again, one of those really like great coach teams.
Mm-hmm.
I've personally have been looking at them quite a bit,
Yeah,
just because I know that could be a future opponent. They district wise, they went 11-3, so I mean, but they also had
one of the best districts in the state of
one of the best
Texas.
districts in Texas.
The
I mean,
Colony and
it's
Frisco Lone Star. It's just every night. You got to come to play. It's
that. Yeah, I mean, gosh,
yeah,
and like they're 11-3, and they finish you know, tied for second in their district. The Colony, a lot of
every,
people know about the Colony,
everybody knows about the Colony. That's for sure.
and so yeah,
Absolutely.
they're like I said, a great, a really really well coached team,
Right.
and they've got some guys that a lot of great shooting on that team once again.
Right.
Um, yeah,
Yes, sir. Well, another team I saw a little bit about West Mesquite. Kind of underrated. They're ranked in the top 15 in most polls. I believe they're like 28-3. Uh, just kind of a hidden, I guess you would say, gym. I don't know. That's probably a bad
it's a good way to
analogy.
put it.
Yeah, just they play. You know, they win. I mean, it's hard
Yeah,
to. What I've always said is hard to ignore a team that's got only a handful of losses on their record. They played some good schools early in the season. Just a really good team. You know, before. So a couple of things, just kind of before we wrap up. I know we just talked about Region One and Region Two, but I was just going to ask you any other teams that come to mind. I guess overall in the state that we've seen this year that it's in Division One that you could think of.
I'd say Converse Judson. We kind of mentioned them earlier. We
Yeah,
got to play
of
against
course
them.
they're in 6A, so yeah.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, go ahead.
but I mean, yeah, like you said, for there being a 6A team, I thought we got to play pretty well against them.
Right,
And they're all once again a great team.
for sure.
I would say some teams, like I said, the Colony,
Right,
the Port Arthur Memorial,
yeah.
another great, you know, really really good
Did
team.
y'all see them in the play in up there in some of those tournaments?
We haven't got the chance to play them,
Okay, gotcha. I was just curious. Yeah,
but
gotcha.
they're great, pretty
Well,
pretty great team.
for sure, for sure. And I thought one school that was really kind of come to mind is CC or Corpus Christi Vets Memorial, the
Mm-hmm.
number one ranked team in the land,
Yeah,
5A. People don't know they're undefeated. It's hard to be undefeated at this point. They've played a lot of
really
good
hard.
comp. They're beating teams like 100-50. Uh, they're beating. They're playing really good basketball. They're just a good. I hadn't really seen much film. Hadn't needed to because you know they're not really anywhere near where in
Yeah.
terms of us. The only way we'd ever see them is if we played at the state championship, and we got to get out of that first round, of course. But
Oh yeah.
uh, to wrap up, what is it? I guess from a manager and a player's perspective as well. What is it going to take to beat Melissa on? Without giving out secrets or anything.
Mm-hmm.
What is it going to take to beat Melissa on Tuesday night, man?
I would say first thing, starting off, just being locked in and ready to go, ready to be
Absolutely.
prepared for the challenge that we faced. I think we've we've responded to a lot of adversity really well.
Mm-hmm.
You look at, I think, from my perspective, when we play against when there's a big crowd or when we know that team is tough. I think we get up to play these teams.
Absolutely.
You can see it all through the season. So I think this game won't be any different.
Any
We know
different, yeah, for
the
sure.
challenge at hand. We know what we got to do.
Right.
I think number two, just running our offense. They're going to get film on us. We
Yeah,
know that they'll probably be able to call out some of the stuff we're doing, but a lot of times, as Coach Mack would say, that doesn't matter. Like we can run whatever we're gonna run, even if they know it, we can still hit them with it, and it can
for
still work.
sure.
I think so. Being on the same page, offensively and then defensively, just communicating, making sure we're talking on defense, having energy on the bench, just giving effort, because we know if we play well on defense, we'll have plenty of opportunities on offense to get do what we need to do to win the game. But I think if we can, especially if you shut down a team defensively, just the morale of that team, the energy that the buckets that they're used to getting, if you're able to shut them down, it's going to be a long night for them.
Absolutely. Even if you know this, even if you're having a bad night offensively, if you're playing good defense, you always got a chance
Yep.
because it cuts off a lot of their points. So absolutely, and I love that McManus is a defensive guy. That's kind of what
Oh yeah.
I can't stand just offense. It's great. It's a good thing, but if you don't play defense, you're not going to win. You're not going to be there. It doesn't matter how many points you score. But anyways, yes, sir. Well, I appreciate it, Luke, and it's been real fun. I'm really excited for, of course, the playoffs. I know the kids are. Real quick, has the intensity shifted the last couple of days in terms of play? The practices for the kids, have they really stepped up?
I would say yeah. I think it's just maybe intensity, but it's just you can see the difference. I really don't. It's hard to describe, I guess, but like
Right.
it's playoff time. Like just the energy, the way that we're attacking, we're showing a lot of effort in drills that maybe we otherwise would would take less of would show less energy on. I guess. I think just we know what the talent that we have. We know what people have said about this team, but now it's time. We gotta
Put up or shut up.
shut them out and just
Yeah.
it's just time to get ready to go to work and play. I think one more thing that I would say is I think Coach McManus said it today. Playoff playoff basketball is going to come down. Every game is going to come down to 1, 2, or 3 possessions.
For sure.
And we've had there's been a lot of games where we've been up by so many points that no matter how we finish the game, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But so I think a huge part about that is not taking possessions off, because it's going to come down to those couple possessions at the end of the game. And I think if you execute well throughout each of those, you're gonna come out on top.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. Well, I appreciate it, Luke, as always. Appreciate all that you do for Lufkin Panther Sports, and I hope you have a great night. Looking forward to Tuesday and that amazing gym in Athens, Texas. Who would have known?
Yes, sir.
That's one of the best in the
Thank you,
state of
man.
Texas. Appreciate it, bud.
Let's get this dub, baby.
Let's get it. Let's get it, buddy.